of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Real quick, we are going to do things out of order tonight. We have a lot going on here. We have a bid opening, and we also have a presentation from Structure Point. So there's a good chance we will not get to the police, fire, and EMS reports, as well as some of the unfinished business. If you have any questions or concerns, you can reach out to me, and I can get you any information you would like. Do we need to read the ADA disclosure, or I don't have it?
I think we're probably good for this
Okay.
meeting.
I think you just have to let them know.
Okay, we have in the back along the wall underneath the clock, we have the ADA forms. If anybody has any concerns, you can fill out a form, and we will address it. Okay, so I need the approval of the December 10th, 2025 regular meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of December 10th.
Got a first, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
First and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Vince, we also have December 22nd. It's not on the agenda.
Okay. Need the
I'll
approval. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve December 22nd minutes, please.
And I'll second it.
Okay, first and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, we need approval of the bills and claims.
Make a motion to approve all bills properly submitted.
We have a first.
Second.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. All right, new business. As some of you may know, that we are planning a Nowlan Avenue water main replacement project, and we're going to open bids tonight for both phases, correct? That's the plan? Okay. Who's going to open them? Is Sean going to open them, or are you guys going to certify it?
Thank you.
Yeah.
They're sitting over here, so
Well-
apparently I'm opening them.
Okay. Yeah, I got it. Okay.
You ready to start these?
Ready to start. All right. Okay.
First one. All right. This first bid is from all right, let me find out what company this is. Looks like Ohio Heavy Equipment Leasing.
They're not on our list.
Not on there? How about Loveland Excavating?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
There we go. All right. All right. Okay, base bid. There'll be two bids. One's base bid and one's alternate. It's like phase one, phase two. The base bid amount is $230,000 even. The alternate bid sum is $203,000 even. I know we're pushed for time. This will be reviewed with Reso Engineering, make sure all documents are in here. That's the first one. Don't worry, Chief, I'm not gonna cut you. It's a dull knife. That's why I brought it. All right.
Who's this from, Sean?
Second one is from
That sounds really low.
Queen City Mechanicals.
Okay.
All right. Base bid, $474,837. Alternate bid, $475,101. Appreciate it. this one, Greendale, Paul Rowe. This one's from Paul Rowe. Base bid, $774,000. Wait, I'm sorry, take it back. $774,434. Alternate bid, $727,531.
You said that was Rowe?
Paul Rowe, yes. This is Dave O'Meara. There we go. All right, base bid, $627,418. That's the base bid. Alternate bid, $506,280. This next one is SLB Pipe Solutions. There we go. Base bid, 648,000 even. Alternate bid, 690,000 even. The last one is Complete Contractors. Base bid, 541,819. Alternate bid, 471,313. Any questions on the prices? Got them all?
We do.
I will turn these over to Christina,
Okay.
and she will review.
Anthony, do you need a motion of any type tonight?
Just take them under
Take them
advisement.
under advisement.
I'll make a motion to, allow the Board of Works to take the bids and under advisement and have Resel Engineering review.
Second.
For the first and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
Thank you to the bidders, thank you.
We have material for this job, the material bids.
Okay.
You want to do that now?
Yep. Let's do it.
I didn't bring a sheet. All right. Yeah, just right there for each one. That's the companies. Pretty for me. All right, the first one is utility supply.
Is it for the whole phase one and phase two?
Yes.
Sean?
Phase 1 and phase 2. Am I reading that right? Alternate?
Plus alternate, or and alternate.
Where?
Yeah, so that's their and alternate price, right?
That's what I'm getting.
Yeah, because that's the and sign.
Yep.
So
And
that's what it is.
he doesn't have it broken down. it's just one price.
Yeah.
Utility supply, this is one price for both, and they were informed to break it for base and then alternate. His is $111,899.10. 111,899.10.
This is for all the pipe fittings.
Pipe fittings, all material. That's what he has there. This next one is from Ferguson. All right, I guess his base bid is $110,359.79. The alternate bid is $106,992.17.
So if I'm hearing this right, is the first one phase one and then the alternate would be phase two
Yes,
for materials?
yes.
Okay.
And this next one is from Core and Main.
Say it again.
Core and Main.
and Main.
Core and Main.
Let's see, a base bid. See if he has an alternate bid in here. Here we go. He has it broken down. 3. All right. Core Main, base bid, $103,338.25. His alternate bid, $101,037.037.70. 101,037.70.
Same thing about the advisement. I make a motion to take the materials bid for the Nowlan Avenue water main under advisement for city staff to review.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. See, Mr. Reza, we are planning on having a second meeting at the end of the month. Will you be able to make that? It'll be Monday, the last Monday, fourth Monday of the month at 5 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you all. Okay, we have American Structure Point here tonight to discuss their water plant evaluation that they've been working on relatively last year, I would say. So, Aaron and Ryan?
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Karen Saavedra, Project Manager at American Structure Point in our Water Wastewater Utility Group. And I've got with me.
And Ryan Shipper again with American Structure Point, Project Manager.
Yeah, so we worked together on this evaluation of the existing Greendale water plant and ran through a few alternatives. So we're going to share that, the results of that study with you tonight. Just kind of walk you through what we did in the study, the basis of kind of background information that we gathered, the alternatives, and then next steps, and open it up for any questions. All right. So the purpose of the evaluation was really just to be really forward-looking, so planning ahead for Greendale's future. So looking at, what are the demands that you have now, and then looking also 20 years into the future of, development requests that you've received that are going to need water, and then thinking about, other areas of growth. And so this brings together information that you've done through strategic planning already as a community, and looking at, where you're going to grow, what those areas could develop into, and then therefore their water demand. So both looking at population trends, and then looking at that economic growth. And then we also just wanted to verify, what your current capacity is of all of your equipment in the water plant, and then look at the building. Do we feel like it's something that can be, renewed and reused? And then looking at costs for the alternatives. This is a figure of the distribution system for Greendale. So we'll be talking about kind of the left side of the page. The 3 circles are the wells that kind of feed the water treatment plant. Then the water is softened, utilizing salt, and then gets chemical treatment for disinfection, fluoridation, and then is sent out on the bottom there. Those are called high surface pumps out to the city. So just so you're familiar with some of the terms. Okay, so the plant was originally built in 1955 and it was last expanded about 20 years ago in 2005. So it's had a really good, long life. The city staff, continues to do what they can, to maintain that and operate that. But everything does need some investment every now and then to renew it. So that's one of the things we'll talk about. When we look at the current flows, so in 2024, the peak flow coming out of the plant the demand was 1.58 million gallons per day. And then when we compare that to what the plant can do, that's about 89% of its kind of treatment capacity. When we say reliable, that's really looking across all components of the plant. So maybe one component has more or less, but when we look at all of them, that combined capacity. So the reliable capacity is limited by the softener system, and that is really a benefit that Greendale is providing its citizens in softening the water to a certain extent. And so if we wanted to provide that same level of softening treatment, that would be the limiting factor in looking forward in more demand. The city did look at a number of structural evaluations, so both utilizing other firms, not just American Structure Point, and then also our structural engineers did an assessment of the building and found that the structural concerns that are there for the water plant are manageable, so it's not in imminent failure or anything of falling off the hill or anything like that. So it's the building can be reused, and so that was an important part of the study to confirm. When we look ahead of what water demand we would need, we work together with the city staff and officials on coming up with that future number, and that is 2.65 million gallons per day when we look out 20 years. So you can see kind of the difference that we need to get from that 1.8 up to 2.65 to meet that need. So yeah, next slide. I summarized this on the previous slide, but just a quick breakdown. Again, just while you are not a large community, you are a very wonderful, special community, but you do have some growth in population. So just looked at that over the next 20 years to capture additional people, and then looked at development as well. These were some of the developments that we knew at the time of this study. Obviously, things change with the economy and other things, but maybe you would get other projects like this that come in. Some of these I think are already either in design or construction. So again, making sure you're able to bring in the types of developments you want and have that growth and meet those water demands. So just things that we were using to put together those numbers. All right, that's where the summarizer, here, that shortfall of 0.85 million gallons per day that we would need to incorporate into the existing water treatment plant or make up some other way. Okay, the city asked us to look at a number of alternatives and really to look at how can we reuse the existing footprint of the plant, because it is a building you already have, you already own. It's got the power coming to it. There's a lot of benefits into just reusing infrastructure you have. So one idea was, okay, we'll make up that additional need with added softeners, and this is just showing you the footprint of the water plant. It's pretty tight, and you can see that if we were to add in these components, there really would be no room to move around or for long-term maintenance. So we determined softening the water at the same level that you soften it now, and adding additional softeners to do that just was not going to be feasible within the existing footprint. So and then we looked at, okay, if we want to maintain kind of the same treatment that you're doing now, can we expand the facility? Looked at some property nearby. So, we're sitting here, the water plant is directly north of us. This would be looking a little bit north of the water plant. Looking at how much space would we need to add those additional kind of items. So construct a new softener building, and again, would meet demands. There'd be some other improvements needed, some pumps that need replacement, some other things. And because you would need to build another facility, that really brings the cost of the project higher. So this alternative was estimated at $8.3 million as a construction cost. Then the other alternative that the city asked us to look at is really a concept of regionalization. We see this across the state. You are already doing regionalization on your sewer utility with a shared treatment plant. So this is not a new concept to Greendale. So then looking at, okay, is this something that makes sense on the water side? So we did contact Lawrenceburg and worked with their utility staff as well on, okay, tell us about your plant. Where is it at capacity wise, and how do we expand your facility to meet the needs of both communities? So we did have to look at how much will Lawrenceburg need in 20 years from now, plus how much Greendale is going to need, and then how does that fit into their footprint and everything as well. So we're now looking over at the Lawrenceburg facility. They have some room for expansion within their building that was kind of left aside, and so that's a pro to that option. Then we talked about, okay, there's already some piping that connects the cities that maybe we could reinstate and put in a flow meter, and kind of measure how much is being shared and those sort of things. But a couple of things came out of that discussion. Obviously, it puts Greendale with a lack of control in terms of, just overall your growth and ability to respond to economic development requests. You also, looking at a long-term contract and that pricing structure, you'd really be at the mercy then of whatever gets passed down to you. Their facility does need upgrades to their wells, their softeners, their pumps. So there's a question of those costs of those capital costs being shared. How does that look from Lawrenceburg's perspective? It's really to Greendale's benefit. So, it's a capital cost plus an ongoing cost to them. So there were some reasons that we thought this really wasn't the path that Greendale wanted to go down. There's a lot of unknowns in terms of just how that pricing structure would look moving forward, that contract structure. Lawrenceburg made it pretty clear that they would just like Greendale to be a wholesale customer, where I think Greendale wanted to be more in a partnership and being able to help drive and make decisions in terms of how they're operating their plant, the decision, what's happening, because it would be a shared facility, but that's not how they were picturing it. So while from a big picture view and from me as an engineer, it can be done. We also have to consider, the individuals and the community needs. And so while this is an alternative, we'll discuss, not maybe something that is in the best interest of the city of Greendale. So this cost that you see here is really to upgrade their facility. And what would happen at the Greendale plant, it would become more of a kind of, we would keep the clear well, which is where we keep the treated water that we then pump out as needed. So we'd keep that and upgrade kind of the pumps to boost the water and send it out. So there would still be some improvements done at Greendale as well.
That cost is not in that 5.6 to do that?
The improvements at Greendale, correct, yeah. So, after we looked at those alternatives, we were like, okay, let's revisit the existing Greendale plant. What can we do within the footprint to then give Greendale that control of their treatment process, and ability to meet the needs of the community. So what we looked at is making some tweaks to how you're treating the water now. So I mentioned softening, and that's kind of a big part of this discussion. So when we think about hard and soft water, you think about its ability to kind of soap and suds up. I'm doing this because I think about, washing your hair, you're taking a shower. So, you see in-home softening, for people that like their water to have that more slippery feel versus hard water. So the city is providing softening and really kind of doing a great job of it. They're sending out pretty soft water. And so, we took a step back and thought, okay, if we soften the water a little less, which would still meet regulatory requirements, we reviewed this with IDEM, we could meet that future capacity need, that demand within the existing footprint. So that is what we're showing here. So we're using words like blending and bypass. What that means is then taking kind of the groundwater, softening most of it, taking some of it that's unsoftened, so bypassing the softeners and then blending them back together. So it puts less wear and tear on the softeners and then still sends out good quality water for drinking in the community. That allows us to reuse the existing footprint, really renewing the water treatment plant that's there. And that has a capital cost of $5 million to renew the facility. With that, we would be looking at just a really good renewal of the overall process. So some electrical components. So that's what you see here with that motor control center, that MCC, some pumps, some chemicals, just really renewing the facility that hasn't been touched for 20 years. So it's a good use of, I think, your, dollars in terms of renewing your infrastructure. It allows you to keep it online during construction. So there's a lot of good benefits in terms of phasing how we can get all the new tanks in while meeting the needs during construction. So a lot of benefits there too. This just summarizes the alternatives that we looked at. After review with the city, the recommendation was to move forward with renewing the Greendale water treatment plant, that really would meet your future demands. It maintains local control, providing jobs. Also just looking at you being able to respond to those economic development requests and having that control, also control with your ratepayers and all of that too. So the next steps that we recommended in our study were to move forward with that and just look at obviously working with the community on how you want to go about funding a project like this. There are some funds available in the state. A lot of those right now are in the form of low interest loans, but we would continue to look for any available grants or other funds out there for a project like this. And then my note here about working with IDEM, just if you change your process, like if we completely don't soften during the construction period, we would notify the home. So they just said you would need to notify all the customers that there's going to be a kind of a change in water quality that people are used to. So we would make sure to do that and communicate. And so that is our kind of high-level summary of our study. But we're happy to answer any questions that anyone has.
Couple things. 3 years ago, maybe 3.5 years ago, the Greendale Board of Works had hired Lockmuller to do a study, and they came back at $17 million to build a new water plant. I think that we handed you that report to start with. That was 3.5 years ago, and we just couldn't swallow the building of a new water plant. Second thing I'd like you to speak upon is PFAS and
Sure.
Allowing room to grow into that if that becomes a problem.
Sure.
If you would.
Yeah. So PFAS is a big buzzword, and it's a forever chemical is kind of the way that it gets defined. It historically was used in Teflon and some like nonstick products, and just with high heat and things, it would kind of break down, and then really we're just ingesting it, and it doesn't, since it's a man-made chemical, it has more carbon chain than it should. It does not really break down naturally in the environment. It just stays how it is forever. We all have it in our bodies right now, today, everyone in this room. Just by being alive in today's day and age, you have it. And so there's a lot of talk from an EPA level and otherwise of just, how are we going to regulate this? It came out of industrial processing, so a lot of the talk is obviously putting this back on industries to clean up their act. So that is a big part, but then it comes down to, we don't want people to be ingesting this, and so do we need to start doing something at a municipal water treatment level? And so there is no rule yet, but there's a lot of draft language being prepared and some limits that are being talked about. And so what we did in our study, one, we looked at, Greendale does have to take samples of their wells and test if there is already PFAS, and you do not have anything that raises a flag or is a concern at this point. So that's good news. And then in our study, we made sure to look at what are the types of technologies available that we know of today to remove PFAS from water and leaving space in the facility to put those kinds of treatment units in. Think like using a filter, the best I can liken it to is like a Brita filter, with granular activated carbon, but on a much bigger scale. So there are technologies that are being piloted and used, but there's no regulation yet that you have to do them. So that was part of our study, to look at where you're at today and do you need to do anything yet? The great answer is no. But if that ever becomes a concern, for your water source, we've kind of laid out what that footprint would be, what would be needed in the water plant, and you would be able to fit that, or kind of we could put in a shed or something. We could kind of incorporate it into the
Go north.
or go north. Yeah. So we did do some kind of future thinking of that and put that in the study, just so you have it documented as a community where you stand today.
And I think it's just important to note that, everything was below what those proposed levels were. We're trying to look forward because there is some uncertainty. There has been a lot of, on the regulatory side, a lot of, where's it gonna go type thing. So just wanna make sure that we stay ahead of that. The other thing that I might add to is, I don't wanna say like the sky is falling or anything, but the levels that are in humans have been coming down over the years. Part of that is because we're not producing many of the PFAS. There's been some substitute chemicals like Gen X and some of those things. But just to kind of not like scare anybody too, there's been studies out there where a very small fraction of the PFAS that you do have, and again, those levels are dropping in your body, is coming from the drinking water. Most of your exposure pathways are things like, you got it in floss, you got it in Teflon, in your wrappers, all of these things that you're consuming.
Fast food wrappers, microwave popcorn
on
wrappers.
On the floor, Gore-Tex, Scotch Guard, all of these things. So I just to add a little bit of perspective there.
Right, you're not just getting it from water, so this isn't,
Right.
Thanks.
Are the 4 older softeners included in the alternative 4 to replace
Yes.
those? Yes. Okay.
All 6 would be replaced.
All 6?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, 2 of those is the ones we put in 05.
No 5, yeah.
There's no way to...
So the first thing we would look at with an engineering, project like this is always what we call basis of design.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the options, we talked about with the mayor was just, is there, getting in a manufacturer, getting a look at the existing softener tanks, making sure we feel comfortable if we want to reuse the ones that are only 20 years old. In terms of renewing those, we'd want to replace all the internal media and things like that, because we just, as of right now, they don't seem to be performing at their kind of design level. So that would definitely be an option, and definitely a good value engineering, cost-saving option would be to reuse some of the tanks that are there.
I did see the whole motor control center, everything, because it definitely needs to
All
be
that needs
replaced.
done, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
You don't
because
wanna
can't
take the
replace those
softeners from
parts.
the thirties?
No.
We have 2 softeners from the 30s running
Yeah.
in that
The
plant.
original water plant.
From the 30s, 2 from the 50s, and 2 from 2005.
We're still alive.
Yes.
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 we are. Good
Yeah.
point.
You know, not extremely popular, but I'm a big fan of consolidated services. You make a point about the wastewater,
Mm-hmm.
but, and I didn't grow up here, and I don't have this historic bias against our neighbors or whatever, but the fact of the matter is, every time I go down Ridge Avenue, I look at that electric construction, and I think, you know, we didn't ask enough options, because I know there's a way that we could have made it 20 or 30% less money, less tree trimming, look better, and et cetera. And it's nothing against, and Steve asked me at the time, and I said, you know, if you don't ask for options, they're gonna give you, this is what we got, what do you think?
Absolutely, yeah.
And, and it may not have been the case here, but, you know, a lot of times consultants kind of sniff and say, hey, what's the client really want? And all of a sudden it comes out that way. Personally, I would have liked to have seen some kind of a combination with Lawrenceburg or other options, selling it. And maybe it's not, you know, the right thing, but at least look at it. And if it's a situation that the environment, people right now aren't at a situation, are in a mindset where we can share those services, you know, maybe we kick a can down the road and say, okay, we'll wait till maybe there's a time, eventually this is gonna go away. And I don't really know about water, but I know a lot about electric, and every year, the number of municipal electric systems go down. And if you look back at, you know, 11% increase in population, et cetera, you know, costs are rising faster than our income, than our population. So at some point in time, you're gonna have to make a tough decision. You know, what do you do? I mean, and those things, again, people change, you know, who would have said you're not gonna change your oil, or you're not gonna wash your car, or whatever.
Right.
Things change. Who would have said you're gonna be paid $5 or $6 for a cup of coffee? Things change. So my point is, I think I would have liked to have seen other options that, you know, well, maybe do nothing is the right thing for right now until we can look at other things. I don't know, but like I said, every time I go down Ridge, it reminds me that we didn't ask enough questions to make this happen.
Yeah, and I think a lot of questions were asked, and so you brought up, you know, selling the utility. I mean, I'll say, yeah, there was not interest that I heard of wanting to do that. Obviously, it does happen. We see it throughout the state. There are a number of private utility companies. What you were saying, you know, also about, you know, doing nothing. While that wasn't a formal alternative documented, you know, there was some discussion about that, and there's a couple concerns. One is just the timeline for doing a project like this. So, you know, we've basically, the city's studied and looked at some things at a high level for a couple years already. So you've been doing nothing. And then from this point moving forward, you know, through a design process and then construction process, I mean, you're still probably 2 years before this project would really even be completed. There's a timeline there where if you kind of keep waiting, right, you know, just kind of keep pushing out. Some of the components of the project, the electrical components, are really kind of a higher concern because with the age of the equipment, the utility can't get any replacement parts. We see this, obviously you can liken it to your technology that you carry around with you and things, things change so quickly, that they can't find the parts they need. So there's concern that you could have a failure or something happen and you wouldn't be able to get what you need to keep the plant flowing. So we've worked with Greendale, and I've also worked with Lawrenceburg on kind of what we call emergency, like resiliency plans and things like that. And so there are risks in doing nothing. And so I think taking the proactive approach is better in this sense because we know that the equipment is already pretty aged. It's not going to improve by waiting. And so knowing that timeline for design and construction is still a couple years out, process, that was really our recommendation, is just to at least get started. Refine the estimates, refine the definition of the project.
I have a question because
Yeah.
Sean gave us some of these numbers. In the discussion about buying water from Lawrenceburg, et cetera, how much does that reduce the city of Greendale's cost?
Oh, as an operating, like from a paying staff or
I mean, I've got staff and electric,
Mhm.
a whole lot of
power costs.
big
yeah.
numbers.
Yeah, so
You're only 12% difference between 5 and 5.6.
Right. Yeah, so and Steve kind of brought this up, what's not in there is you still have to maintain your facility here. So you still have to maintain the clear well, which is a tank that is under the building. You have to maintain that. You still have to pump water out of it to send it further up and out into your system, because really Lawrenceburg would just be sending it to this plant. And this plant would just become kind of a holding tank and a pump station, yeah.
In essence, the
And
water
we
plant.
would still have to have a water distribution license to send it out.
Correct, and so so that's a great point.
Right.
In looking at, could we just, was people, and that did come up, okay, well, if you're just receiving from Lawrenceburg, do you still have to have what are called licensed operators? We did look at this in the kind of state code and everything, and even if you have a facility that is only a distribution system, you still have to have a certain level of licensed operator. So it wasn't going to eliminate your need to have those people. And that's really where it came back into, are we saving as much money as we maybe thought? Because we still have to maintain infrastructure here. We still have to maintain pumps and tanks. We still have to have licensed people. So it seemed like it was only saving a portion of kind of the overall treatment process and staffing. Because you would still have to maintain your distribution system. You have 2 tanks. You still have to maintain those and all the piping. So like your water main project, you would still be doing all of that too, so.
And I think early on, the mayor asked about, and I think you brought it up, but, making an investment in Lawrenceburg's facility to lowering the water rate or something, and that wasn't appealing to them.
For Greendale to invest in their facility?
Right, they weren't,
Yeah.
currently, their only interest is if we were to be a wholesale customer.
Okay.
Yeah, I've talked to Kelly about it. I've also talked to Garrett Kavanaugh, who's the
Foreman. yeah.
foreman currently, and Andy Lyons, who used to be the foreman of Lawrenceburg's water plants. And both of them kind of had the same thoughts. They didn't, Garrett was a hard no.
He was.
Right?
Yes, he
Yeah,
was.
hard no. And I'd also like to preface, I'd also like to preface, Garrett lives in Greendale. So, and now Andy lives in, well, you live in Greendale all your life, but also, and Mayor Kelly and I feel like we have a good, if not great relationship right now. I can call him anytime, he can do the same for me. But the last 8 years of the 2 prior administrations, we did not have a great relationship. We had a cantankerous one, for lack of better words, hostile if not. So I always worry about that. What happens if we give up control and we're going down that road again? So I don't know. I don't know.
But excuse me, Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, the rates and things are really also somewhat determined by a state level, right? I mean, Lawrenceburg, no matter who it is, can't say, hey, you're gonna pay X when,
Yeah, so it would be like a regulated, Lawrence, you're a regulated utility, so you think like the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, like IURC, you know,
Would it be? I mean, wouldn't it just, the city of Lawrenceburg would do their own rates, and we'd have a contract with Lawrenceburg. I don't think.
yeah, kind of
our
like you do
rates-
with Valley Rural or.
Lawrenceburg would have to develop a wholesale rate to
Yeah.
sell water, like we have something similar with Valley Rural.
Valley Rural. I mean, if there was ever.
well,
a
we'd
s-
like to take the one at Valley Rural, right?
Well,
Yeah.
If we ever had an opportunity from the standpoint of regionalization, this would be a perfect time to do it. I mean, a perfect setup. I mean, we're interconnected. It's a little just disappointing that we couldn't talk to Lawrenceburg about entertaining regionalization. But I mean, they're the one that has the upper hand. If they say no, they say no.
Right.
They don't want to do it, and I understand that.
Well, I think if you've lived here long enough, and I'll probably regret saying this, why is Lawrenceburg and Greendale two cities? Yeah, I mean, and we've all lived here, we all know it, we all went to school together, we all played on the same sports teams,
Well,
and there's this imaginary line, I know where the line is, but most people don't know where the line between Lawrenceburg and Greendale is.
Well, but Mayor, there are, I mean, you did the thing, there's like 30% of the people here that didn't grow up here.
No,
And-
you're right.
And
It's
they
changing,
just look at it as, you
Right.
know, Hatfield McCoy's is like, what? What's going on? And
I understand.
well, the people that were around in the '70s, late '60s, that figured out the SDRSD and pulling that together were visionary. And it's sad that we're in the day and age that we can't maybe still drum up some of that cooperation and whatnot. But I know
Yep, but-
everyone gets in their own corners.
But on the flip side, now let's think about that, the SDRSD. The SDRSD just went through a dark area. You know, the three cities were not on the same page. The plant was falling in disrepair. It's going in a great, right now, we're working well together. I will say that, and the plant has benefited from it. But it's gonna do this, we know that, and that's,
Get it.
right, so. I don't know the answer here. I know we hired a very smart young lady and her team to give us her thoughts.
Well,
So,
listen, over the last 30 years, there's been 5 different times where there's been consultants hired to look at merging utilities all together, you know, all of the utilities, not just,
Right.
yeah, and then, so this little development of it was just the water treatment side. That was the only merger. It wasn't even a merger of the distribution systems, just the treatment side. My position, when I was in position in Lawrenceburg, was always, if we're gonna merge something, let's merge everything. If we're not gonna merge everything, then let's merge nothing.
well,
But-
I don't disagree
Didn't
with
agree
that,
with it.
of
I don't
course.
disagree with that either.
But my whole point is, long term, it's not sustainable. So,
And I think I think it's important also to talk about the water. It's distinctly different than the electric utility as far as having your own water treatment facility and providing your own water for your city because of where we are. We have a great resource sitting here. Our water's cheap. You know, it's free to us almost.
yep, I
Where
totally
with-
agree with you.
Where with an electric utility, you're at the mercy of the power producers, and that's 85% of your budget in your electric utility is purchase power.
Right.
So,
I just worry about going into the future, PFAS, just retaining employees, you know, getting the operator license and stuff like that. Charlie, remember going to the real water thing, 50% of the Indiana operators were gonna retire in 10 years, and y'all were part of
doing it.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's really,
Todd's next.
people, it's really hit the wall.
yeah. Now, I will say that, we have 4 great water sewer guys right now, ages 28 to probably 35, 36. 2 of them are fully licensed. The third one is finishing up his apprenticeship. He's got his distribution license. He's working on his, what do you got, water making? Treatment license. And then we have a new apprentice who, I think he's doing wonderful from my perspective. So I think we're going in the right direction. We got young guys, and I hope they're here 20, 25 years. So definitely not going to be a problem in my lifetime, I'm hoping. But, you know, I'm not sure, I think if we all could figure out a way to combine the two cities to make one, I don't disagree with it. I just don't, but I don't know if we're ready for that yet. And we always keep saying we're one generation away. Well, pretty soon there's another generation and we're not there yet, right? And Steve's lived here his entire life. I've lived here my entire life. Well, a lot of us have, and I don't know. I don't know.
And like she said, we're running out of time with our water plant.
Yeah, we are running out of time.
The do nothing.
And, yeah, and I
You
think
got
that's a
things down
concern
there
is,
that just can't be
Yeah, the do
replaced.
nothing option is not an option. Those two, Charlie and I talked about this 10 years ago, the two 1930s softeners, that they need to go. That's all there is to it.
Well-
And that motor control
So
center.
it's not just strictly a capacity volume, because if you look at the.
it's reliability,
Time-
yeah, and it's,
correct.
yeah.
And I think two things we asked Karen right off the bat. You need to determine, is the building stable, which we did, and what is the clear well? What kind of shape's the clear well in? And those were key. Or we would have gone on to a different water plant.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And we knocked those off the list, and then we started digging deeper. And again, I don't know the answer to this, but I do know that we're looking. Oh, another thing I'd like to point out, and I know this is near and dear to Linda and my heart. That 1955 mid-century modern building is super cool, and I want to see it stay in Greendale. I just think it's a Greendale landmark. Even if the water plant's not in it, but I think it's pretty cool. So. I do.
Really?
I do. You don't like it?
I have a question,
Yes, ma'am.
aesthetics aside. This period of time, if we go with the option you're recommending, when there will be no softening or less softening, does that in any way have a negative effect on the distribution system? Does it affect anything other than somebody's mother-in-law not liking the way she feels in the shower? Does it affect the pipes? Does it affect any of the distribution at all?
I mean, for the amount of time it will be, we're talking just like a couple months. And we'd like to phase the project, so, we take there's 6 softeners, we take maybe 2 out. So some might be running and we just kind of have to work through that and the phasing. So I don't think it will have an impact because it's such a short duration of time, besides just how it may feel when you're using it. So, I mean, there are minerals in your water, so that's kind of going to be part of the messaging. So just if you, for whatever reason, you don't like the taste or anything, I mean, there's things you can do as an individual homeowner, but yeah, I don't think it's going to do anything to the piping.
And there are some other municipalities that are sending out water as hard as what you have in the raw.
Go to Aurora.
That don't soften at all, and they, have
Right.
systems in
Break a
place and
window.
stuff, so. Yeah, you soften a lot more than bigger cities in Indiana. It's a nice benefit.
What you need from a motion?
I don't know if we need any motion. Do we, Anthony?
Just,
Thank you.
accept the report, I
As
guess.
presented?
Thank you, guys. I'll
Yeah.
make a
Yeah,
motion
thank
to
you for having
accept
us.
structure points report as presented. It was very informative and, appreciate it. Thank you.
Got it first. We have a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we got 5 minutes left. How about Shane, why don't you do your police report and Tommy, if you'll do your EMS, we'll probably call it a night, okay?
All right, the police report for December, and then year-to-date, obviously, be the year-end number for 2025. Total calls for service last month were 515. Year-to-date was 5,566. I'm not going to read it all off, but you can see I've highlighted the increase from the year before or decrease. Traffic citations last month was 22. Year-to-date was 206. Criminal arrest, 21. Year-to-date for arrest was 212. Crash reports, 18. Year-to-date on those was 98. New case reports, 32. And year-to-date on that was 335. No training for the month of December.
I gotta ask, criminal arrests, 31% increase? I mean,
Yeah, I don't know how to explain that. I haven't dove into why or what it was. I'm guessing it's probably some OWI arrests were up.
Are we mainly down on 50?
Yes, yes.
mainly
It's
down.
not in town.
Yeah, mainly
Okay,
down
so
50.
stay on 50.
Yeah, good. You don't have to move. Yeah. Well, as we have said over and over again this year, it's not Mayberry anymore. It's a real deal, and we have a great police force, and Shane and Pam, they do a wonderful job, and we appreciate all you guys do. Thank you. Okay. All right, Tommy.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do the fire report. I'll just give you the monthly real fast
Okay.
and yearly, 'cause he did both. So for the month of December, we had 20 calls, so that brought us to the end at 279. Out of all of that, 184 of those were in the city of Greendale for the fire responses. Any questions on that?
Nope.
None. So over to the EMS. We ended up with 74 runs for the month of December. So our end of the year was 852. We were up 167 calls than what we were last year. Out of those calls, we kind of broke them down a little bit. 598 were those were in the city of Greendale. 153 were in the county, which that includes kind of the mutual aid and stuff like that. So with our new land acquisition, because I figured it might be a question coming from you, Mayor.
All right.
We actually had 48 what I called non-ski slope calls into our new coverage area in the county that we picked up, and we only had 19 responses last year to perfects. This year we're already at 15, so.
Well, I was gonna say you're at 16, because Perfects reached out to me to thank
Okay.
you for all
Yeah.
you guys have done. So,
Yeah.
and I'm thanking you as well. You
Yeah,
guys
you're welcome.
do a
So, yeah,
super
our
job.
run numbers have gone up as a whole. So.
Okay, so one more question. I think this
Yeah.
is important. We asked NDOT, the state, to work on the Bellevue Highway 50 I-275 interchange. And if you all have gone down there, we now have 2 lanes going on to the interstate. Have you had, since they've done that, and keeping in mind that Perfects was open both weeks of spring, fall, or Christmas break,
Yeah.
have you had any trouble on backing up on
None.
Bellevue?
I have not seen any.
Perfect.
Not seen any.
In the past, we've had to turn the
yeah,
lights off,
dangerous.
turn the sirens off, and wait 3 lights to get down
To
Bellevue.
go through because it was just absolutely too dangerous, and we didn't want to cause any kind of secondary
Problem.
incidents going on. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, that's wonderful news.
Big improvement.
Good.
Big
It's helped.
improvement.
You know, in the mornings especially, I'm going through there and I don't see it backing up that bad.
No.
'Cause
No.
there's times it used to back up pretty bad
Yeah.
going down Bellevue.
All the way up Bellevue. I think it's a big difference. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
The material bids, utility supply, the first bid I read did have an alternate bid. It's in the back. I have it right here.
Okay, well, let's add that real quick, because I want to make sure it's official in the,
Their utility supplies alternate bid is $106,401.25.
okay, someone get that?
Yep.
Okay, we got it. Okay.
We do have to do that resolution.
Oh, yeah, we do. As usual, I made a mistake, and we took some stuff up to Lutz's auction, some old park equipment, and an old worn-out truck, and I missed Marigold, Linda's beloved Cub Cadet utility vehicle, and so it was not on the resolution, so we need to make an amendment to the resolution. Am I correct, Becky? Am I saying this right?
Yes.
Okay, so.
If we don't pass it, we have to keep Marigold.
Marigold's gone. We have the
it's
check.
gone.
We gotta get to, or the mayor goes to jail. We gotta fix it.
All right.
Okay, someone make a motion. Wait, do you have a resolution number?
It's still 2025-04. We just hand wrote her in there.
Okay, all right.
I make a motion to approve resolution, whatever number Becky just said, regarding the sale of surplus equipment.
Yes. Got a first, we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Perfect. We get 15 seconds to spare. We need a motion to.
Motion to adjourn.
To adjourn. Got a first, we have a second? Second. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Sitting there.
Thank you all.
It sucks.
How about we start about 10 after, please?
10 after.
Everybody's